Hello, here we are in Preburner, and I would like to show you how to run a brand new campaign. The first and most important part you need to understand is that we're at the dashboard and that a campaign represents any position that you're hiring for. So in this account, you can see that we have 3 active campaigns running, and if we want to set up a new position, for example, a facility manager, we just simply click there and name new campaign. And, oops. And at this point, you can see that we're naming it after the position we're hiring for. That's a good strategy. So then you can start to select what items you want to pull into this campaign that you may have already designed some other place in the past. For example, your introduction video or text and your conclusion video or text, you could either pull it from one of your existing campaigns, including archived campaigns, or you can just start from scratch. So for the introduction and the conclusion, I'm going to go ahead and start from scratch. And the campaign button, you can also use one that you've already designed in a past campaign, or you can just use the default one. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and start from scratch on all of that. The next area is the general inputs. General inputs will be everything like their name, email address, phone number, any other custom things that you've put in there, in addition to the education and work history of the person who's applying. Now, if you've built out an area in one of your other campaigns that you really like and you want to use for the facility manager, then by all means, go ahead and grab that and put it in. Keep in mind that you'll still be able to customize it. This is just a jumping off point. So campaign questions or anything that comes after the general inputs of education work history and then before the conclusion video. And if you've already set up a bunch of questions that you really like in one of your other campaigns, you could grab those. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and start from scratch here with default. And then the campaign follow-up, this is the follow-up builder that allows all of the statuses and all of the follow-up automation that comes with each of those statuses. So if you've already set something up again that you like, feel free to grab it out of that campaign. Otherwise, you can just use the default follow-up. This is where you give permission to your team members. You can see this account only has 2 team members. So if I wanted Jessie Jane to be able to edit or view applicants or the campaign itself, then I can give her permission to do that here as well. The final step is that we configure the campaign. It builds everything, and then we can go to our campaign. Now here you'll see that we've got our introduction, our description, general information, and then our education and employment history. Because I pulled the general information from one of the previously run campaigns, you can see that I already had these turned off by default. I'm going to go ahead and turn those back on just so I can give you a quick tour of how all of this works. The first thing is the introduction. We started blank, so we could use a video or a typed introduction. As you type out what you want to say here in the introduction, you can introduce the job and a few other things, but you could also use a video. And by clicking here, if you have Flash Player installed and you're running on a desktop or laptop computer, then you can record using your webcam. Keep in mind that building a campaign on a mobile device is not really a very good or recommended idea. In the description area, this is where you'll be able to help the applicants see what the job description is about, the qualifications, and the pay benefits. This is just the defaults that we've given you, but you can change them to whatever you want. And if you want to hide a section, all you have to do is turn it off. The general information area is an area where you're going to be able to require certain information, choose from any of our defaults that map automatically to the applicant profile, and you can actually create other inputs. Now, it's important you understand how this works, so I'm going to add an extra couple lines here. I'm going to add some custom inputs by just clicking on Add a New Input, and I'm going to do just custom. I'm not going to use any of the ones that are provided. So now that we've added a new input block, all I have to do is click on the pencil, and I can say that I don't want this block to be 50% width. I want it to be 100% width. And I'm not going to call it new input block, of course. I'm going to call it social media. And then what I'm going to do is I don't want this input to take up 100% of the width. I only want it to take up 50% of the width. And then I'm going to add another text input that will take up 50% of the width as well. Oops. I wasn't ready for that. Okay, so now what I might say is Facebook page and Twitter. Now, you'll notice that because this is all one block and it has two placeholders, we're able to ask them specific things like this. Oh, and it didn't take into account, I forgot to fix this after it erased when you added an input, it refreshed it. So when I click save, you'll see that now it takes up 100% of the width, and I can have them tell me their social media and their Twitter page. And that would obviously make this one obsolete, so I can just simply delete it. Now, you'll notice I also use the placeholder text to be able to say this, but you can also imagine that once you've selected how big you want your block to be, you can also select how much of that block should be inputs, and you can label them. This can be very useful, but most of the time you'll probably only put one input into each block. The education area works very similarly. The only difference is that in this case we are using schools and we've predefined school situations for you. But adding a new input is exactly the same. And deleting an input is the same. Also, when you click add a new school, it will automatically clone using our predefined defaults, and you can rename them however you want. Also note that you can go in and you can actually change the name of things by highlighting them and change them. Always be sure to save your campaigns. So once you go in and you change everything to what you'd like it to be, and I'm going to get rid of that school, then you can go into employment history. You can see here that we have most recent job, and we're asking for certain things there. We can add another job and ask for, again, the defaults. You're able to edit all of the different fields as necessary, but keep in mind that as you do edit them, you'll be editing each job individually. All right, here's the questions, and this is where you can add as many questions as you want. This is where Preburner gets really special, but it's also a lot different than anything you've ever seen before. This is where you can title a question. Oops. So you can put any title you'd like in it. We have a video placeholder in here, but you could re-record the video and use this to do that. Or you can use a typed question. Once you've set your question up the way you want to ask it, then you just scroll down within this pane here and you decide, do you want them to have a typed response between a certain, like a minimum of 80 characters, maybe a maximum of 1400 characters? Would you want a video? How many seconds would you like them to be able to respond? Multiple choice. Would you like them to allow only one type of a response? For example, yes or no? Or would you like to allow them to give you multiple responses, such as the skills that they have? Like in development, it could be Cake PHP and Python and .NET, where they might be able to say multiple things. All you have to do here is say, for example, what days are you available to work? So we're not going to allow only one response. We're going to allow multiple responses. We'll say Monday, Tuesday, and so on. Once you put everything in you want there, you can just save it, and that will be the way that they can respond. Or you can use the range slider. The range slider is really good because you can use a scale to have people rate themselves on. For example, you can ask somebody on a scale of 1 to 100, how would they rate themselves at a particular skill? And you can set the default to whatever you'd like. Also, you can ask for uploaded documents in response to your questions. And you can even dictate which types of files are allowed so that they can when they drag and drop their upload, it will only allow certain documents. So this is where Preburner gets really special. We can ask as many questions as we'd like. I could add a question and title it however I'd like. And in this case, let's say we're asking about their skills and we want to use a video question. You simply click here, record your question, and you can allow them a video response by how many seconds, or a typed response. So once you've selected how you'd like your response, you can go on and ask as many questions as you'd like, and this list will continue to grow. Once you've asked all the questions that you'd like, and you've been able to pick out, in this case, let's change the question from how honest are you to what days can you work? And then we'll save it. Then we get to the conclusion. Just like the introduction, we can be able to use a video or a typed conclusion. Obviously, there will be no response from the applicant. And at this point, when you record or type your conclusion, don't forget, you've already received their resume at this point, or their application. So this will be something they'll see after their submission's complete. The follow-up builder is where you'll be able to dictate which statuses are part of your particular campaign, and everybody will need to fall into a specific status. Remember that the first status everybody goes into is new submission. Each of your submissions will be able to receive either an email or a status change. This email doesn't have to be able to go to the applicant every time. Sometimes it'll go just to you. So you could remove the applicant and you could select somebody within the business. And that way you can send notification emails to each other as people are moving along the hiring process. Or you can choose the applicant and people within your business so that you can get the carbon copy effect. Once you've set all of this up and you've got everything set the way that you would like it, then all you have to do is go in and you can either preview or you can look at people who have come in. Now this is what it would look like if you said there's going to be a video but you didn't actually record one. Here's where you can see the job description and the qualifications and the pay and benefits. Here's where the general information would go. And you can see that because there's required fields, we can't click next until we've put our information in. Once all the required fields are met, then we can click next. You'll see the education, nothing's required, so we can move on. And employment history, nothing's required, so we can move on. Keep in mind that you can make as much or as little of this required as you like. You can see that the video question is here, asking us what days we can work, and then here the ability for us to be able to make selections. And you can see in this case, we can actually select multiple items, where if we chose the other option, whenever you select one, it'll automatically deselect the others. In this case, we have a video question that we never recorded and a response that requires at least 200 characters. So once they've met their need, then the next button is allowed and they can see where they're at. And then we can submit our application. Of course, for the purpose of this demonstration, I haven't recorded any video, but it's extremely simple to be able to record just by simply clicking to start record and enabling the webcam. Also remember this, is that as you go through and you set up your different statuses, you can select here and select new statuses. For more about how to use the follow-up builder, look for the follow-up builder video within the help area, which you can find here. Okay, the final item inside of a campaign builder is the settings. This is where you can rename the campaign if you choose. You can archive it when it's done being run, and you can give permission to the different people who are inside of your campaign. The follow-up area will allow you to be able to ask for explicit permission when people opt in. Our Canadian customers will need to be able to access this so that if you're going to send automated emails, you can actually get permission so that before we ever send any emails, you already have permission. And the text above your opt-out link. Actually, this right here is a bug that's going in the beta program right now, so it'll be removed and you'll only ever see one of these. And that is how a campaign runs. So once you understand that everything works here in the sidebar and that you can ask as many questions as you like, you're pretty much on the road to being able to submit an awesome job application. When you're ready to publish it, all you have to do is click on the publish area, and you can copy and paste this right here into any page where you'd like this button to show up. And you can customize your button by going to the call to action button and doing things like changing the fonts and changing the button padding and being able to change the button margin, how much it pushes everything away from it, the border radius, making the button more square or more round, and of course the button font size. Once you have it the way you like it, make sure you save the button. And that is what it would look like when you're ready to build out a campaign.